The Mindbuzz, now partnered with Grito Industries.
3, 2,
1.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oscar, what's going on, man?
¿Qué onda, Gill?
From Grito Industries. Welcome back.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me back. I'm excited to be here with you and Amber. You guys are a lot of fun. So I figured it was so nice I had to do it twice.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
I always get something wrong when you're on our show.
What's that?
going on? Last time I did the ad wrong, and then this time I forgot to put the intro. What's going on, Oscar?
I don't know. We got to revisit those contracts. It's not the first time I heard that. It won't be the last either. I'm sure of it.
See, that's why we have Oscar here, because we have a new sponsor for Grito and a sponsor. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about it.
Claro que sí. I would love to. As you guys can see, we do have a new sponsor by the name of Firme Mezcal for your viewers to check it out. We highly encourage you guys to give them a follow on Instagram, Firme Mezcal, or check out their website, firmemezcal.com. They're a great company. Right here, what I have is their Espadín Mezcal, which is a great 42% proof mezcal that it's a great entry mezcal for those that have never probably tried it. And from what I understand, I know, Amber, you tried it before. Gill, have you tried mezcal before?
I have.
Good.
Yeah.
So for those...
I'm familiar with the taste.
Good.
Yeah.
A little bit of smoky, and it just depends on which one you go with. But what I wanted to do for your listeners that maybe have not had the opportunity to get familiar with mezcal, maybe I can kind of walk everybody through, okay, a little backstory about mezcal. I'm going to try my best not to bore you guys, but also on what's the proper way to drink it. Yeah. I'm not an expert, but I'm going to give it my best.
Show us the bottle.
Aquí está. Firme Mezcal, Espadín, 42% proof. This is made in Oaxaca, which is the Mecca, if you will, state in Mexico. There's 12 states in Mexico that legally can make mezcal or call it mezcal. Oaxaca is known as the Mecca. So there's a lot of great mezcals that are made there. Typically, mezcal, the ingredients to make a good mezcal, it's very simple. It's going to be the agave, water, and yeast. That's it. Sometimes you can go in and add additional things to give it a little bit of a different flavor. But with Firme Mezcal, you're going to notice that they really stick to a lot of traditions. So I feel that it's going to be appropriate for me to tell you that in the traditional way on how to drink it. So first of all, what you got to do is you got to pick the appropriate glassware, because what I think a lot of us need to be aware of, for those that have not tried mezcal before, is that this is not like tequila. Now, tequila, you can pretty much take a shot. You can mix it with a lot of drinks. You can absolutely mix it with mezcal to do some different cocktails with mezcal. But with tequila, you know, typically when you're hanging out with your buddies, you're having a good time, you're celebrating, you're taking a shot, followed it with a chaser or with a lime. The mezcal, you don't want to do that. With the mezcal, you want to go ahead and more embrace the taste of the mezcal. You cannot take it as a shot, because what we're going to notice as a spirit, tequilas are typically known to have 40% proof or less, right? So that's in alcohol content, that's pretty strong. It's good. And they have a couple different levels, whether you're doing blanco, reposado, or añejo. Now, mezcal, it's made differently. And mezcal typically is anywhere between 42 to 48% proof. So it's stronger. And there's some mezcals that go up to 57% proof or more. So you definitely have to try it a little bit differently, because for those of us that haven't had a chance to try mezcal before, if you take it like a shot, like tequila, you're in for a rude awakening. Then you're going to say, no, está gacho. I'm not going to try mezcal anymore. I fucking hate it. That's because you didn't drink it the appropriate way. So hopefully we can share with your listeners a little bit of education behind it. Yeah. They can give Firme Mezcal a follow. And if they're up for it, this could possibly be one of their first mezcals that they get a chance to try. On their website, they sell it for $35.95, so it's not a terribly expensive bottle to try. They can order it, but the appropriate way to drink it. So we have these little glasses here.
And what are those glasses called?
So these are called veladoras. Now, it's important to know the reason that we're using these veladoras, or the origin of it, is that they're typically used in velorios, which is like a wake here, but in Mexico, you have your velorios when somebody does pass. And these are traditionally used where you would put a candle in it.
Okay.
So
Thought
it's,
they looked
it's commonly
familiar.
used for that. And as you notice, that there's a cross right in the bottom of it. I
see
don't know
that.
if it's that easy to tell on here.
Can you put one on our product cam?
Oh, claro que
That
sí.
third one.
We got a
right there.
product cam today.
Mira. You see, ever since you guys joined my Grito, you guys are leveling the fuck up. You are welcome.
Push it a little back. Yeah, there we go.
Aquí está, and you can see the little cross there. Now, the reason that we're using these veladoras is because you're going to notice that instead of a shot glass where it's a little bit narrow, we need something that's a little bit wider.
Okay.
And the reason that you want to do that is because you want to go ahead and be able to try the notes, the flavor content. You want to be able to smell it. And that's going to be an important part of trying the agave for the mezcal for the first time, is that you need the wider glass. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to smell it before you drink it in order to get familiar with the character of the drink. So if you guys don't mind on that one, just to show it, we got to try it. So let me pour you a little bit of mezcal to the both of you.
For the homies?
And one for the homies. Aquí está.
All right, look at.
And there's something in smelling, right? Smelling a beverage that opens up something in your nasal cavity to actually. So it's an actual like response to from your nose to your taste buds.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it sends signals of what you're supposed to like taste.
Here.
Oh.
And I just handed one to her. So I'll kind of walk you through the appropriate way to go ahead and try this. So like you said, it's a matter of your sensories and your ability to go ahead and take a smell. And because of the wider cup, it makes it a lot easier for you to go ahead and do that. So what you want to do is you kind of want to swirl it around. It's going to be very similar to, for those of you that do drink wine, you want to go ahead and take a good whiff of the wine. In this case, the mezcal. So go ahead and give it a smell. Get familiar with the character of it, the agave. It smells like, for me, like fresh, clean agave.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of smell a little bit of the pineapple, since that's one of the ingredients that you're going to find in the espadín.
So the agave is that's the earthy smell, right?
Yeah, so that's the actual plant that's being used.
Okay.
And you can commonly find that there's a lot of different types of agaves out there.
Mm-hmm.
And agave is typically used obviously for the mezcal, for tequilas. So it's something that's commonly done in Mexico. With tequila, it's commonly, you could find more tequila in Jalisco just because of just the origins and the way it's processed in that state. It's primed to do that type of spirit. For mezcal, the way it's processed, which is definitely different. Again, Oaxaca is where the Mecca.
The Mecca.
But yeah, you want to go ahead and take a smell just to kind of get a little bit familiar with it. And then from there, you want to do what's in tradition known as el besito. Now, the reason that you want to do el besito, the little kiss, is because, again, you got to remember that this is much stronger than tequila. It's 42% proof for the espadín. So you want to get familiar with it. You want to it's kind of like when you go to the pool and you dip your toe in it just to check if the water's cold or hot. Yeah. So you want to go ahead and give it the little besito. So you can, we can do that right now. Just all you need to do is just a little bit of taking a little bit of the mezcal to get familiar with it. As you can tell, and that's delicious, a little besito. It helps absorb the strong alcohol and prepares you for what's coming next.
Oh, okay.
What do you think is coming next?
It's the little warning sign. I like that. I like a little bit of warning sign with something like this.
Yeah, it's a little mysterious, but what's coming next is going to be the magic. With the magic, it's where you actually really get to take in the mezcal after you're done with the besito, because the besito is really important. First the besito, then comes the magic. When I say that, Gill, put your shirt back on. Don't be nasty. Don't be nasty. The perro. It just gives you an opportunity at that point, now that you welcome the mezcal into your palate and you're able to take in the flavors. Okay. You know kind of the strength. You respect a little bit more of the strength of the alcohol behind it. So at that point, you're able to go ahead and take a little bit more of a sip to enjoy it, to see where the magic happens. If you guys don't mind, now that we're going to go ahead and do the more fuller sip, Let's do a little toast. A little toast to all you guys. Gracias for having me here. Since we are using these veladoras, one of the common toasts that you can make is hasta la cruz. And the reason that's hasta la cruz, we got to remember that with these veladoras, there's a little cross on the bottom. So it's pretty much telling you, you're going to drink it all the way until you can see the cross.
Fondo, right?
Oh, wow.
All
Simon.
the way to the bottom.
Simon. Now, I'm not encouraging you to drink the whole thing. You just still want to go ahead and take a nice little swig to open it up.
Okay.
¿Está bien?
Yes.
Salud.
Salud.
Ay. What do you think? What do you think?
That's very tasty.
Yes, it is.
That is really good.
I like how like when you did it, el besito, it like the flavor profile, it occupies your mouth, right? So like you said, it's getting you prepared and your taste buds for what's coming next. So it's like, hey, here comes this alcohol,
Right.
right? And
Absolutely.
it's really good. It also like comes out like your nasal passages, but like in a good way. It's like it almost opens up like, I don't know, like your senses. It heightens them.
Right. The flavor's not overwhelming, right? With some alcohols. Like this is my first time trying this, and it's delicious. Like I can, it's really good.
Absolutely. Now, if you look at this as if you really want to enhance the experience, you can go ahead and pair it with, if you're drinking a little bit of mezcal, you can pair it with your favorite beer. Commonly, what people like to do is pair it with a slice of orange, a couple slices of orange. Maybe you like to use a little bit of tajin. Or like myself, I don't smoke cigarettes, but I do smoke cigars. So occasionally I like to enjoy this with a cigar. And, you know, for me, it relaxes me. So you get an opportunity to pair this, to enjoy a good drink, and at the same time, expand your palate and explore a different spirit. You know, I like, especially as growing up, as I was, going through college, and hence advancing in my career, I was being introduced to a lot of things that I never had as a kid growing up in the hood. As an example, for me, wine is not something that we normally drank, but as I would go to business events, people would be serving wine, and I didn't know shit about how to drink it. The difference between the cabs, the merlots, and all these different things. And I didn't have anybody there because I was a little embarrassed to ask, okay, so what's the proper etiquette?
Right.
About, swirling it, smelling it, checking out the legs of the wine glass to see what the quality of the wine. I didn't know any of that shit. But when I had an opportunity to really do some research and go out there and enjoy wine, there's a great winery in Mexico, in Ensenada, in Tecate, called El Cielo, that is one of the largest wineries in Mexico. And my buddies and I like to go there and do the little wine tour, try a couple different wines, and we enjoy it. I mean, we're beer drinkers, we're tequila drinkers, we're mezcal drinkers. But for me, it gave me an opportunity to enhance my palate when I tried wine. Now, if I like tequila, the blancos, the reposados, the añejos is my favorite by far. Why wouldn't I want to expand my palate with a spirit that comes from my culture? Mm-hmm. And you might be surprised that you actually might enjoy this. And this is not something where you want to pound it and, get shit-faced. This is something that you can enjoy just a couple sips, as long as it's a wide rim glass, so you can really let the notes of it kind of spread out, kind of like a wine glass. Right. And it's going to be a good experience for most people. Not everybody, but for most people. And this is their entry level, the Espadín. They have several other bottles that you can choose from, several different mezcals that you can choose from on their website at different price points. So what I encourage you to do, and it depends if you want to just go ahead and jump right into it, or slowly, kind of like the besito, you could start off with the Espadín. And there's a lot of bars that now offer Firme Mezcal. There's a lot of different liquor stores that may have it, or you can order it from their website, which makes it a lot easier. But the Espadín would be a nice entry level, and at a price point of $35.95, very easy. But they have other bottles that you can try, that you can explore, or you can go to one of their events and you could do a mezcal tasting and just kind of go through all the different mezcals that they have to offer.
So that's what they do? Firme Mezcal? They have
those fools get down.
Yeah,
they get down.
That's on their website?
Yeah, well, they have information. They have, when they do events, you can go on their social media when they're doing an event. They like to work with a lot of different businesses, especially Raza. It's Firme Mezcal. It's a Chicano brand. Well, there's there's 4 owners. 2 of them are here in California. The other 2 are in Mexico and Oaxaca. And it's a family distillery. It's that these are traditional mezcal makers that are making this product. So there's a lot of rich history that comes and cariño and amor with this brand. So you can go to their website. You could take a look at different events. You could take a look at the products. They also have merch. They have some cool shirts like the one I'm wearing right here, Firme Mezcal. They have beanies, hats, un chingo de cosas for men, for women. It's a good way to kind of support a good brand that's Latino owned. And that's a reason that My Grito decided to collab with Firme Mezcal and make them one of the official sponsors of the My Grito Podcast Network, which you guys are a part of.
Yeah. That's
See?
cool. I really like the look of it and kind of the feel, because it is a fusion between Mexican and then still the American life. So it resonates with some of us that are here, you know, that are of Mexican descent but still American, and it's something that you can still feel close to, you know, your roots, but still stay true to who you are here. So that's
Absolutely.
Claro que sí. I like the way you said that, Amber.
thanks. But yeah,
They're a sponsor. Check them out, Raza.
check them out. Look at that artwork. That thing is
Yeah, the bag.
cool.
That's the first thing that I seen. That brown bag. I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is awesome.
Yeah, for those of you that are
Checking it out.
familiar with Rob, the original, you can also follow him on social
Mhm.
media. So he was one of the brand ambassadors that went ahead and created some of the art for Firme Mezcal. So as you can see, you got the homeboy right there with the Charlie Brown shirt that has the Firme pose. You can, yes, when you buy a Firme Mezcal bottle, it also comes with the brown paper bag.
That's cool.
Because it makes it official.
Yeah.
I like it because it's like an upgrade from like a 40 being in there, you know?
Yeah,
We grew up a little. we
we
drink
grew up a
mezcal
little
now,
bit.
right?
Yeah.
But
But you're
every
still-
now and then, you got to go back to the 40, especially if you're talking shit on some homeboys. Nothing wrong with the 40.
What was
The
in
little
your
Mickeys.
What was in your 40s brown bag?
Do you know what? Old E back in the day.
Old E, really?
Old E,
Okay.
Mickey's.
Mickey's. I remember Mickey's.
Yeah.
remember
And the thing is, because I was a young kid, I didn't know. I had no palate for it. Liquor beer was new to me.
Right.
And 40s was kind of the fucking down thing to do, the down thing to drink. What I didn't realize as I wasn't really a beer drinker.
Yeah.
Is that shit gets warm. You're not even halfway through and it gets warm, but your buddies are going to give you shit if you don't finish it. So you're like, it wasn't that wonderful of experience, but at the same time, it was my introduction to cerveza. So I drank it, enjoyed it, and here I am now drinking all kinds of beer.
I remember 7-Eleven having a special for Bud Ice. I think it was like 3 Bud Ice for like something like $5 or something like that. And there were like 32 ounces.
Fuck yeah.
3 of them for $5.
That's a fucking deal. But now with inflation, fuck, you can't even buy one for $5. Anytime I think of 7-Eleven, I think of 2 things. I think lottery tickets, because you got to buy them.
Right.
And growing up, fucking Street Fighter. I don't know about your, I don't know about,
love Street Fighter.
I used to play Street Fighter so much.
They had video games inside
Video
of
games.
7-Eleven?
Yeah, they had video games. They had a nice
Really?
magazine section.
What?
We were spending time there.
Jeez.
Who's your
playing video games.
character?
I would go between Guile and Ryu,
Okay.
and I would have a lot of quarters. Sometimes I would jack some quarters, and I feel bad. Sorry, Ma. Some of our laundry quarters, and you would just put them there and just keep playing with all kinds of fools, and it was fun. I mean, it was just that was my childhood. We of course we had TV. We would watch shows every now and then, but most of the time we spend it outside, which is a lot different than nowadays. But we were out and about, fucking getting into trouble, doing things, going to 7-Eleven to be a nerd and play Street Fighter. That was us.
You think you think you're still pretty good right now?
Not really, kind of. Because
I was gonna challenge you, but
I'll take the challenge.
have you ever been to Bar 805 in
Yes.
the Arts District?
Yes.
They have
They have the old school. They have the games there.
Right.
One of my good friends, Rob. Shout out to Rob, who's one of my good buddies. When we celebrated his birthday earlier this year, we went to some pizza joint in Fountain Valley, and they had Street Fighter there. So here comes the drinking. The challenge was thrown, and we were playing for fucking ever. Our wives are so pissed because
That's how
we didn't
it
want to
starts,
leave.
dude.
We were talking shit. And then what happens? Only a few weeks later, he hits me up. Hey, I bought a Street Fighter for the pad. Come on over when you want.
Damn.
Shit.
That's my
That's goals right there, dude.
one of my things to have. I had at my parents' house Pac-Man. So I have a Pac-Man one, like
Pac-Man
old
or Miss
school.
Pac-Man?
No, Miss Pac-Man.
There you
actually.
go.
I had Miss Pac-Man and without the quarters. I know how to jailbreak it now.
Mira nomás.
My dad was like, "No, you got to put quarters." I was like, "I'm not gonna put quarters in my old machine."
Are you gonna jailbreak that machine that we're gonna pick up on the side of the road down the street?
I might.
You know how to do that, huh?
No, make you sound like a criminal.
And Amber has a backstory that she's not really talking about.
She does.
Let us know more.
We've been listening to Joey Coco Diaz's book, like his autobiography called Tremendous, and
It's
she's
really good.
she's addicted to that thing, man. Yeah, he was like all into these like criminal enterprise, like the comedian Joey Diaz. He has a book, his autobiography, and let me tell you, like some of the stories in there are just freaking wild. But Amber is like addicted to listening to all that
I'm
stuff. It's
addicted
crazy.
to listening to autobiographies because it's chisme. They're giving me insight into their life, and I'm gonna take it. I want to hear the stories.
There you go.
Right.
On the way,
Just like we want to hear your story,
Right.
Oscar.
You want to hear my cheese,
I'm
man?
here for
Let's
the
go.
chisme.
that's why we have a podcast. If you didn't listen to last night's episode, Amber, this is a 50% of why we have a podcast, because she likes the chisme.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she's a good
I heard
host.
it. I heard it loud and clear. Which, by the way, you
And
got.
I don't have to keep a secret.
And then
Yeah, right. It's all out.
And then what happened?
But it's not just here privately. You guys are putting it out there on blast
What
for everybody.
happened?
Get mas. I told you that bitch is crazy.
What did I tell you? It was intuitive, not chismosa.
Mhm.
Get it right.
What's the root word of chismosa? Is it intuitive? What is
Yeah,
it?
it is.
I think it's Amber. I heard allegedly. But you guys did a good job with Banana Leaf Boy. Real good interview. I really enjoyed a lot of the dialogue that you guys had with him. He was actually one of the artists that My Grito had on our second charity compilation.
Oh, really?
no way.
So
Okay.
he was down with the cause. He went ahead and helped us out. At that time, our second charity that we were focusing on was called the Esperanza Immigrants Rights Project, which really helped out a lot of individuals, a lot of immigrants on understanding what the process is to become a citizen here. Because a lot of times people just don't know, okay, where to go, how to fill out the paperwork. So that's one of the things that, out of the several things that the Esperanza Immigrants Rights Project does, is to really help out people getting appropriately documented. So that way they don't have to worry about other shit, and they can just live a productive life, continue to live a productive life.
And you guys did that?
Yeah, that was our second charity that meant something to both Rob and I.
Wow.
So, and artists like Banana Leaf Boy that volunteer their art, their music, for us to use it so that way listeners can go ahead and have this incredible charity compilation from all these talented artists and go to Bandcamp and go and invest whatever they want. And 100% of those proceeds went to that charity. So we've had 5 so far. And, when I saw him that he was a guest, I was very happy. That had nothing to do with My Grito setting that up. He has a great background story. Even him coming down as an immigrant and the struggles that he went through, I think it was something that a lot of people can relate to. So for your listeners that did not get a chance to check out that episode, yesterday's episode, they definitely should do that. You guys did a fantastic job with him.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate that.
I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't know that he did that and worked with you guys on one of those compilations. You guys have 5 now?
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys push those out what, yearly, like every
So
quarter or something?
My Grito's coming up on our 3-year anniversary. We've done 5.
3 years only?
3 years.
Really? I
Yeah.
feel like you've been around for a long time.
It feels like it sometimes.
You've accomplished a lot in those 3 years. I'll tell you that right now.
I appreciate that, Gill. it wasn't easy. It's especially when it's a passion project, but something that we really wanted to succeed. And like I mentioned on our interview last week with you guys, Rob and I, we have our families, we have our full-time jobs. So it's hard to really juggle everything, to balance everything, to prioritize everything that's on our plate. But this label, what it's able to do, what it has done, we're very proud of it, and we want to continue to grow it. And having, podcasts like you guys definitely helps us accomplish it, because you guys are also taking this very seriously, and you guys are providing not only great entertainment to your listeners, but at the same time, you're providing good education, good information, and allowing other interesting people to share their story on your podcast. So you guys are doing a fucking kick-ass job.
Thank you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Who's interviewing you? Who's? I feel like we're going back and forth, and
The interviewee has become the interviewer.
no, not only that, but I just appreciate. Not just that. There's more, but no, I really appreciate that, and I'm glad that what we're doing is coming across in a positive light.
It is to me.
And you can see, because it is our passion. I mean, 100% it's my passion. So I thank you.
Absolutely.
Kind words from a kind soul. Aw, Oscar.
Let's have some more mezcal, because I think you're going to be, before you know it, Gil's going to be confessing his love to me.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh, sorry. Dispensa.
We haven't even got married yet.
We got to show that we got to show that video. Remember when he intercepted the rose?
Oh, yeah.
That was good, dude. That
bad.
came out of nowhere,
My
man.
bad. I saw a romantic moment between a beautiful couple, and I figured what a better thing than to ruin it by taking that rose that Gill brought to Amber. I'm like, this rose looks like it belongs to me.
I love that about Maria Sanchez's. I love that spot.
Yeah.
When she performs, every time I go to her shows, like I'm like, okay, when is she gonna do it? When is she gonna do it? When is she gonna do it? When is she gonna play that song? Is it every song that is it? I can't remember the song. Do you?
So it varies sometimes, but because a lot of her catalog, it's very romantic movies, romantic music for the lovers that are out there.
Right.
And she's just a great overall entertainer.
Yes.
And the fact that she is bringing those roses.
That's so cool.
It is very cool, because first of all, anybody that goes to her show is going to get a great experience. They're going to listen to some fantastic music. Her and her band, they are so talented. They're very talented musicians. And to enhance the experience of somebody that goes to her shows by giving that opportunity for a couple to share that experience during a love song, hopefully, if one of them doesn't fuck up and doesn't go get a rose, or allow somebody else to intercept the rose, but it gives it makes that night that much more special. And hopefully you might remember that, you remember the feeling that you had with your significant other at a show. And what kind of makes it cool is the fact that it was at a Maria Sanchez show.
Yeah. Yeah, and it translates to, like, if you've been together for a long time, like, and that's like your guys' thing, going out to shows, and you're gonna go get a rose from Jazz, which is the backup singer for Maria Sanchez, or if you're on a first date and and women, if you're listening, and that guy doesn't go and grab that rose from Jazz, better think twice, because there are free roses out there. So watch out. He better be getting you a rose.
One,
right?
Too shy, and he's not very proactive, and he's not romantic enough, he or she. Two, they don't understand the value of money, because that shit's free. Go get that fucking rose. You know what I'm saying? No, that's just my 2 cents.
No, so you poured another one? Okay.
I did.
So what's the process on the second pour? Is it the same kind of, do you go back around and...
Well, from my experience, when I've been drinking mezcal, is you don't have to go through the whole process. It's just kind of the way to start it.
The way to start
to get you accustomed to the mezcal.
Okay.
And unless you're trying a different bottle, a different spirit, then at that point, you still probably want to go through smelling the notes, doing the besito, because it is a whole different taste. It's kind of like no different if you are pouring multiple glasses of wine and you're trying a different bottle. You still want to go and get familiar with it and find out if that's something that you're going to like, that you're going to enjoy. So for us, since we're just getting down with Espadín tonight, and who knows if we're all going to finish it, a ver qué pasa. But I don't think you have to go through start all over on the whole process every single time.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, it just tastes really good.
Mm-hmm.
The smokiness.
That's my favorite part. Is
the smokiness. Yeah, I think because it's so different. It's so different from any other beverage.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I like it. So, Oscar.
Dime.
Tell us. I'm dying to know your life story, Oscar. What's your life story?
Wow, what a loaded question. Some would say it's kind of...
Tell us everything.
Some would say it's legendary. It's not.
No, we want to know who you are. Earlier we were talking, to you off air, and we were saying, and you were kind of like, I want to get to know you. And we're like, no, we want to get to know you. Because we're part of, My Grito now, and we want to know... We don't know who we're working for.
Too late. The contract signed.
No, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So the for me, the fantastic family. I did spend a lot of time in Mexico with my abuelitos. What my parents did growing up, which I think helped me be the person that I am. It really humbled me because not only were we living in the hood, but when summer school came around, my parents would send my brother and I to Mexico for summer, and my abuelitos would put us to work in the ranch. So they actually had a full working ranch. We would wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and keep in mind we were very young when we were going there, and we got introduced to really hard work, so that's something that I'll never forget, and to be able to cherish that moment with both my grandparents just was great. My parents, hardworking individuals, growing up because they were immigrants that came from Michoacan here to California for a better opportunity for all of us, like many, many other immigrants that are looking for more opportunities. They worked multiple jobs. My brother, sister, and I were referred to as commonly known as lackey kids because it almost seemed because they worked multiple jobs. We would find ourselves walking to school every single time. And sometimes those, for middle school, the walk was very, very, very far. But we would try and find a friend that we can walk together with, and we would do that long walk. If we weren't doing sports, we would go home and do our homework, but also TV. TV raised us. So a lot of my sense of humor and all that stuff comes from just watching all these TV shows that if my parents really realized what the fuck I was watching, they would know that they shouldn't have been letting us watch all those shows. But that's what, that's kind of what we did. And we kind of figured out how to kind of raise ourselves to a certain extent. Not to say that my parents didn't raise us. They were just so hard. It was so difficult because they were trying so hard to give us a better life and to work so hard, which is one of the reasons that for my siblings and I, we appreciate hard work. And we want to continue to do that hard work because we know what they sacrifice to give us better opportunities for us to have food on the table, to be able to go to school, to be able to go to college, and to now be able to provide to our families was because a lot of the things that my parents and my grandparents has taught us. I've made a shitload of mistakes along the way. Just like most people, some mistakes were bigger than others. I've never been to prison. I've been pulled over plenty of times. I've been harassed by police. I'm not saying here, kind of like the interview yesterday with Panalipoy, that I hate police. That's not my experience. I understand why I was put in these situations, but I also understand when I was in situations where I needed help, my family needed help, and there was an officer there to help us. So I think for everybody, they have the right to their feeling about certain things, and I'm here to respect it. My experience has been they've been there for me, so I'm good with that. Going back to it, I went to school, worked at a very young age. Most of the time at a young age, I worked at a swap meet, which really helped me out a lot with sales because I was actually selling car polish at a swap meet, and I was only like 7 years old. So imagine a little pinche chavalo that's there with a hood, that was all oxidized from that we picked up from the junkyard.
Yeah.
To show people this car wax really works. And I'm there explaining it in English and in Spanish, and people would just get a kick out of it. And I was told no a lot of times, which made me really grow thick skin. And I think that was very helpful because in my current job, it is sales. And I felt like I excelled so quickly in my career because I didn't let some of the things slow me down or let me down. I struggled sometimes. I fumbled the ball sometimes, but at the same time, I was able to pick myself up quickly and again, be reminded of what my parents sacrificed to give me what I have, what I was able to accomplish, to help me out in what I was able to accomplish. And I got pretty far in sales. And at this time, I have my own insurance company. I also work for an insurance agency where we help out people with life insurance. We help out people with retirement plans. And I've been doing that since 1997. So that's kind of aging myself, but I've been doing it for a very, very long time. And it's one of those jobs that, you get a good feeling, not all the time, but most of the time you get a good feeling when you're able to help out a family or a business owner, given the protection that under those unexpected circumstances when somebody does pass away, right? To be able to have that life insurance and that family not to be forced to move out of their home because they can no longer afford the mortgage, or to move in with another family, which you commonly hear that's a factor. And life insurance can help people out with that. It's just a matter of really understanding the different types of life insurance and finding something that is meaningful but comfortable for them cost-wise, because there are agents and advisors out there that are pretty shady, just like in any profession, right? You got to find the right people to work with. So I've been doing that for a very long time. A couple of years ago, started this label with Rob, my Grito. Before that, I was helping him out with his first label, which is Wiretap, which I encourage your listeners to follow them as well. A lot of punk music. He's done a lot of great things with it. I came in to help him out because I saw how hard he was working and I wanted to be a part of it. And when the pandemic happened, now we have my Grito. We started something together, and a lot of great things are happening there that I'm very excited about. Married, have 3 daughters. My oldest daughter is getting married in March of next year, and she asked me to go ahead and marry them. So I'm pretty fucking stoked about that.
That is awesome.
I got to get ordained. It's a cool feeling for them to give me that honor to marry them.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. My other daughter, my oldest one's college educated. I'm glad that was their decision to go to college and excel in school. They both have great professions. I have those 2, and then my youngest one, she's 14. Sophia, she's also excelling in school, in sports. So I'm very, very proud father. I don't know if that just told you my whole fucking life story in like 5 minutes.
Amber,
that's a wrap.
Did you get the?
Thanks for being on the show, Oscar.
Yeah.
I was just kidding.
Did Oscar get the job, Amber?
He got the job.
Yeah.
Well, what's the job?
You got the job.
That was a good interview. What else do we got?
That took care of all your questions. Let's fucking
did.
go. Let's go.
Toss this out now. We're here to party on the Mindbuzz.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, that's cool. That's cool. You did. You answered my question 100%.
I like how hard work recognizes hard work.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, because that's one of the things that you see in a project like the Mindbuzz, a project like Chicano Shuffle, a project like Emo Brown, a project like West Coast Pop Lock. You see in the My Grito podcast network, you see the dedication, right? And then, but most don't see that. And it's good to hear that you see hard work and you recognize hard work. And that's who you want to surround yourself with, hardworking people.
Absolutely. And it's not always the easiest thing. I think the hard work, that for myself was kind of easy to spot early on because I did start working at such a young age.
Right.
But to really understand and appreciate a person's character took time. because like they say, it's kind of like you have to go through a lot of bad experiences to really understand a good person, a good quality person.
Right. But on the flip side, sometimes it's hard when you've been environment, right? Like if there has been an environment like that's just been horrible your whole life, right? And maybe you don't know how to recognize anything good. Or you may recognize something good because it's totally different than what you've been conditioned to know. So sometimes that recognition between, okay, like maybe this environment sucks, like when you're younger, but knowing something that there's something totally different. There's other lives out there. I don't know how to explain it, but like when you're conditioned to just understand one type of like environment, it's hard to differentiate, or maybe it feels uncomfortable to know something else.
Yeah.
Or to feel something else too.
Yeah,
I agree.
You're afraid of the unknown.
Right.
Uncomfortable of the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's the unknown, you're scared of change. You know what you know, and that's your comfort level. That's kind of your safety blanket. And to a certain extent, I mean, it's part of the reason why sometimes as a community we struggle, because you as we're trying to have a better understanding and acceptance to what's going on in our community and respecting each other more, it's hard for people to do that because some are very close-minded and they have their ideals, what they believe in, and they have every right to it, right? But it's hard for the community to have more compassion for each other and more understanding if they are very close-minded. It's a matter of being able to respect every individual. And the hard part is not having the opportunity to really, somebody's having a shitty day. You don't realize that they're having a shitty day because something fucked up happened that reminded them of their childhood. It's not like we're going to take the time to really understand that, to ask them those questions. We just know, hey, that person's acting like a dick.
Right.
Fuck that guy. So that's kind of hard as well, because we don't take the time we don't have the time for a lot of us, right? Because we're dealing with our own shit. We're dealing with our own issues, the work we have to do, the shit that's going on at home, the battle that a lot of us internally have with depression and trying to figure out what it is and how do we improve, how do we get out of this funk? That in itself is very difficult. I think for the most part, at least for me, what helps is trying to be as patient with people as much as possible. Try and be compassionate, understanding. Don't be quick to judge. Don't be quick to get angry, which sometimes just like anybody else. I mean,
right.
You have little triggers. But I try to be as open as possible to respect other people's views. And I'm not here to convince anybody to think the way I think. I'm not trying to convince anybody to necessarily go buy Firme Mezcal to give them a follow. If you don't like drinking alcohol, it's not your thing. Hopefully whatever I'm saying is going to connect with some people out there to know that what my Grito is doing, as an example, is with the podcast, that we are giving an opportunity to amplify these very talented podcasts so people can have more content, a different source of entertainment that actually might make an impact in their lives. That's what podcasts can do. That's what music does to people. But I'm hoping that people give these podcasts, give My Grito an opportunity to, give us a follow and check out the artists that we're supporting, check out the charity work that we're doing, check out the events, go to an event and support the musicians that are at these events. Because just like anybody else, I mean, we have a message. We're not trying to force it down anybody's throat, but it feels good when we don't always necessarily have to be fucking haters and support each other. And we're doing this, what Rob and I are trying to do is support other people that are doing a great job and maybe they don't get recognized enough. And I have the pleasure of telling them that not only are they doing a great job, but we want to fuck with you, be on our label, if it makes sense.
That's exactly how he wrote the email, ladies and gentlemen.
Word for
We
word.
will fuck with you till the cows come home,
That's
Gil.
why we said yes.
I was like, you know what?
That Oscar, he has a way with words. He don't fuck around.
So through all that understanding of human nature and communication, did you learn that like throughout your many years of sales and selling something so personal like insurance? Did you learn that along the way?
Good question. I think the career that I chose helped me develop, or kind of helped me out in the way that I think, the way that I process information, because I'm seeing these experiences. I'm having these experiences in life with people that, more than anything, when they pass away, what happens? Financially to the family. We know that emotionally they're going to be distraught.
Dude, because you think about it, and that's an uncomfortable conversation. And having these conversations could be strangers, or would be strangers when you talk to them about something so sensitive like this.
It's not easy at all.
Right.
But to answer your question, it does kind of help mold the person that I am based on those experiences. I'll give you 2 examples, and hopefully it's not too overly salesy, but just things that I've done in my career that have helped out a lot of individuals. I'll give you one example. A lot of us had debt, especially with what's happened with COVID, people losing jobs, debt or inflation. Take a look at how much shit costs nowadays, right? And we get a little too comfortable sometimes with the credit card, or sometimes it's not a matter of getting comfortable. It's our only option at the time in order to put food on the table. And debt gets out of control. Or we wanted to own property, so we buy real estate, we buy a home, and that's a very heavy load. And the number one cause of divorce in the U.S. has to do with finances. Not just, infidelity, but also finances. And when I say finances, I'm talking about debt in general. So what we do in our company that I think is, again, it's a little salesy, but fuck it, I have the platform, so I'm going to do it. We show people how we can get them out of debt in 9 years or less without increasing their budget, their monthly budget, and including their mortgage. We will get rid of it guaranteed in 9 years or less without any additional expenses. In 9 years or less. And we show them how we can do that with life insurance. So there's a way to do it with life insurance. It's just a matter of understanding what the options are. So we will get them out of debt, including their mortgage. And they're not going to be spending any more money than they're spending right now. Well, I've been fortunate enough to help a lot of people get out of debt. In some cases, maybe even save marriages, because again, this money thing can get to couples. Yeah. And to be able to have their house paid off earlier than expected, to be able to pay off a lot of debt that they had in a business because you needed to buy all this equipment, buy all these different things to run a business, to say, hey, I'm going to get you out of debt and give you some life insurance just in case. That's been a big help to people. The other thing is, and I've experienced this unfortunately with my father-in-law, is with people's health. There's a high probability as we get older that you're going to have some type of health issue. And what happens when you have this health issue? You're going to need some type of home care, or maybe you need to go into a nursing home, or you need to go to daycare, adult daycare. There's these things out here, but they cost money. And that's the number one thing that really burns down a person's portfolio, their finances, because it costs so much to have somebody come in and help take care of somebody that cannot take care of themselves anymore. Now, in our culture, we commonly rely on family to do that. But what's the thing when your spouse also is trying to pay the bills, pay the mortgage to take care of the family? Are you going to ask your adult children who are also they're in school or they have their own jobs to do it, to take care of you, to bathe you, to help feed you, to take you to the restroom? That's tough. And that's a reality. That's what happens out there.
Right.
My father-in-law had to go to an assisted living for 3 years, and it was difficult to see him there. And the cost that it happened to the family, the little bit of debating between the siblings on who takes care of what do we do, who can help pay for it, who can't. That created a struggle internally within the family. And to think about it, if there was an appropriate coverage in place that was able to, again, be meaningful but not stressful, again, that you can afford it. Not everybody can, but if you can protect yourself from having to ask somebody to take care of you, then why not do it? And that's what I do on this job. And based on those experiences, I tend to be a little bit more sympathetic to people, more compassionate, because it's hard. I've seen it. I've experienced it with my family, experienced it with clients, and that molded the person that I am. My family molded the person that I am. My faith molded the person that I am. Does that answer? I know that was a long way to answer it, but
you answered that, and then the three next questions that I had.
Oh shit!
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm like, sell it to me. So it's not just like if someone dies, the insurance.
Absolutely.
So it's just your life in general. So you're putting the value to you as a person in your life.
You are. The traditional life insurance, people would refer to it as death insurance, because for most policies, it only works if you have it when you die. Mm-hmm. And at that point, your beneficiaries, whether it's your spouse, your children, maybe a charity, a church, would receive the death benefit, income tax free, by the way. So they get all the money, right? But it only works if the policy is there. But for the last several years, there's been so much advancement in types of life insurance that are out there where they have cash value, this cash value that you can use to offset, to get loans, like I mentioned earlier, to get you out of debt. Use that money, leverage that money to pay down your debt and help you better diversify the monies that you have, the assets that you have. So you can do that. You can use this cash value to pay for college. You can go ahead and use this cash value to pay for your retirement. So there's a lot of things that life insurance can do.
See, I didn't know that. I thought like it was just someone dies and you cash out, right? And I can the story that keeps replaying in my brain, and maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I think like for my family, and I think my parents recently got like insurance, right? But for I feel for a lot of people, it's always like, oh, don't talk about it because it'll happen. Or, oh, no, why are we even thinking about it? Or why are we even going to bring that up? Because it might happen, right? And, oh, we're not going to think about that right now. But then shit happens, and then when do you think about it, right? And the only reason I'm saying is because I have an uncle that passed away over 20 years, right? And again, this is just a freak incident that happened, but somebody came knocking to his door, offered them life insurance. He was like, no, I'm okay. I'm 25 years old. I'm good. I'm healthy, everything. And convinced them to get it. And he passed away literally a week and a half, like right after. And I think for a long time in my family, like it was that like, oh no, we're not going to do it. Because look at what happened, you know?
Don't bring that juju here.
Yeah. But I mean, the more we talk about it, right? It's inevitable. We don't know when it's going to happen, but if you can prepare yourself, your family, the people you love.
Yeah. And what I like to think, or I've said it a few times here on the podcast, is that sometimes the most, like the better, the things in life, the most uncomfortable you are, what am I trying to say here? So I used to follow this like guru type of self-development guy, right, on YouTube. And there was a moment in my life where I was going through this like weird spiritual, weird change in my mentality and how I viewed people, how I viewed myself, how I viewed the world. Really trying to change my mind and positive thinking and using affirmations. And one of his affirmations that really stuck with me was, the key to acing life is always, and I'm going to butcher this, I won't quote it word for word, but the meaning from what he said about that information is always lean into uncomfortable, and always lean, like the key to acing life is to always lean into uncomfortability. And I feel that if you do, like, even right, Amber, like from what your family is saying, is they didn't want to talk about it because it was uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable. Yeah. It
But-
was unknown. It was foreign. It was, let's not talk about it.
A lot of things in this life are uncomfortable. Like the huge things in life are very uncomfortable to talk about. Death, even sex. Sex is very uncomfortable to talk about, right?
Not for me.
I know. After mezcal, sex
Salud.
is the easiest thing for you to talk about. No, but like, just, I guess in general, like when you're talking about the birds and the bees,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it I wish somebody would have talked to me about that. Like, again, like I learned from experiences and unconventional ways. I think if the adults would have been feeling a little bit uncomfortable about having some certain conversations with me, then it would have been a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
I bet. And you're absolutely right, because I think there's a lot of topics that are very taboo.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that even us,
Taboo, yes, exactly.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, even us, that for me being first generation, there's things that my parents never talked to me about, and if I don't research it, if I don't read about it, if I don't go to YouTube, if I don't go somewhere to find out, how can I talk to my daughters about this?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever I research, and I can go deep into something or whatever that topic is, that still doesn't guarantee me that I'm going to say the right shit.
Absolutely.
It depends on the mood that they're in.
Yes.
Based on how they're processing the information that I'm giving them.
100%.
And maybe for some people, you want to be able to give that mentorship to somebody, but you don't know how they're going to receive that information. And then you're going to be thinking, well, fuck, why did I even waste my time? I come across that every now and then where I ask for permission to give feedback. So that's one thing that I learned over the years. It's not like if somebody as a friend is telling me what they're going through, first of all, I hit on this on the last episode, that I try to listen first to what they're really saying and understanding what they're going through. And if it's appropriate, I'll ask for permission. Hey, can I give you some feedback, or can I share with you my experience, if that's okay? Because it's just a matter of trying to understand, what is that person going through? Why are they sharing this information with you? Are they asking you for help, or are they just asking for them to vent and they want you to be there? And if you ask for permission to give feedback, it's still a flip of a coin if they're going to take it in a good way or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because my way of thinking happens to be a little bit more, I don't know if the right word is aggressive, but it's more, stop fucking around. You got to just handle it.
Stern.
It's very stern. And there's different ways how you can handle things. You can be very diplomatic, or you could be very direct. And sometimes I like to ask that question. I'm going to give you some feedback, but how do you want to take it? And most people say, give it to me direct.
Okay,
but they're not fucking ready for it.
So you give them an option. You give them an option. Do you want me to be firm, or do you want me to be the other thing?
Be muy nice and give you the nice what you want to do, and
sugar-coated version.
Sugar-coated, and tell you that you're doing a fucking great job, because maybe that's what you want to hear. But in reality, you could be doing so much more, because you have the ability, you have the skills, you have the talent to do that.
Do they both have the same outcome?
It's hard. It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on a lot of people.
It's on the situation.
It's on the
person.
situation. I feel like I'm not going to change the person that I am. If somebody wants to find out what this old fart has to say based on his experiences, I'm here. Now, it depends if you as a friend, if you as an acquaintance is asking me for feedback, but I come to realize that you're more of an asshole. What I mean by that is you're just asking my opinion, but you ain't going to do shit about it.
Mm.
You're still going to go do whatever the
I
fuck
like
you're
that.
intended to do. You're an asshole. You're not taking people's advice. You're just shooting the shit and, whatever. If I feel like it's going in one ear out the other, my advice is going to be a lot shorter to you, but I'm here to help because there's been mentors that have helped me throughout my life and have given me good advice in life, giving me good advice at work, giving me good advice about marriage, giving me good advice as being a father, giving me advice on being an entrepreneur.
Right.
I take those experiences, I take that advice, and I reciprocate it with somebody else if they ask me for it, right? So, a ver.
And you have to be open to that, right? Like you have to be open to learning something new, because if you're not open to receiving new information, then it's just going to be like,
they're not ready to receive.
Right.
They're not ready to receive.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is what it is. We're all trying to do our best. We all have struggles. We all have challenges. We all go through the things that we go through, and nobody knows everything that you're going through. And hopefully if you're one of those individuals, you're seeking out help from either a friend, or if you have insurance through your work and you can get therapy, because therapy is expensive and it's not available to everybody, but there are programs out there that will provide it for free. Seek out other help. I lost 2 sisters. My last sister was to cancer, and she was only 28 years old when she passed. I did not know how to cope with that. And I went through a lot of trouble, and that was when shortly after my youngest daughter was born. And here I am trying to be a provider, trying to be a father, trying to help out my wife with my youngest. But I was struggling with this. And that was my first introduction to therapy. And therapy helped me out so much in how to have a better understanding of what's going on, how to receive the message, how to better decode it, and understand I'm only able to control what I'm able to control, which most of the time it's me and how I feel, and how to react to certain things and how to be more patient. That's what therapy has helped me out with. And, telling you the God honest truth, I'm still in therapy. I haven't been in therapy consistently, but I recently went back to it because unfortunately my mother was diagnosed with cancer not too long ago, and I struggled with it. Because, this is things that people go through and things that some of us unfortunately have to experience, whether it's us that have it or a family member that has it, and it's hard. So I had to go through it. So I went back to therapy. I seeked for help. My insurance covered it, which was a big help, because for me to pay out for it out of pocket would have been tough. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, the last session was the biggest help for me, because there's things that are going on at my work that are very overwhelming that I need to take care of. There's things that are going on at home. There's things that are going on I'm also a coach, a softball coach. I coach my daughter's softball travel team. I'm one of the coaches, and there's struggles that we're having as a team. Then there's the label and how much I care about the label. And then we have a new sponsor, Fírame Mezcal, and I want it to go very well. And then I'm trying to get a designation for work, for my insurance job, for me to be able to provide better support to my clients. So it's a state exam that I needed to go through. It was all this stress that was going on at the same time, and I was struggling like a motherfucker. I'm trying to think, how can I get past this? How can I be productive? How can I stop being snappy at people, especially my family, who all they want is to give a shit about me? Mm-hmm. Right. And so I went back to therapy recently, and my therapist helped me out so fucking much, because her advice was and maybe this would be helpful to some people, maybe not, but if you're out there struggling with a lot of things that are on your plate, the simplest things, right? But I didn't think about it at the time, because I was just fucking knee deep and out there way deep in the ocean trying to find a life raft of some sort. She gave me that life raft by telling me, tell me the things that are going on right now that are stressing you out the most. Now, let's go ahead and start prioritizing these. What's the most important one to you? What's the next one? What's the next one? What's the next one? Now tell me, how are you spending your time between this list from 1 on down? And I noticed that my time was way out of whack. I was spending more time on the shit that didn't matter versus my number 1 and 2 on my list. And one of them was my family. So I was telling myself, if that's what really means means something to me, why am I not giving it the time and the effort and the love that it needs? If I lose that, it would destroy me as a man, right? Emotionally, I'd just be a wreck. But I'm being very careless with this item because I feel like it's not going anywhere. But I'm hearing on the side, my daughter, even though I coach her team, she wants to have these conversations with me. She wants to go to the swap meet with me, which it's a fun little father-daughter thing that we do. My wife wants to spend time with me, but I'm out there struggling with all of those, focusing on other things that are not her. And if I was to lose her, it would destroy me as a husband or, as a man in general. So my therapist helped me realign all my shit on what's most important, reshift my time on each individual thing. And this session took place last week. I got to tell you, over the weekend, I was at peace. These last couple of days, I was at peace. And that's with me also having to deal with the birthday and the day my sister passed all happened this weekend because she passed 2 days after her birthday. So me having to go to the cemetery and having my conversation that I do with her, that in itself is very difficult, but it put me at peace. So for those of you that are still struggling, I'm not saying therapy is the answer for everybody, but it could help put you back on track and be more at peace with yourself. So consider it as an option.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. Honestly, I know it takes a lot from not only, I don't want to say men, right? I'm like, yeah, knock it back.
Yeah.
But just as a person, I mean, we were talking earlier off air how we don't really talk about, struggles, and I think that's something that I've, we, like Gill and I know each other's life stories and what we struggled with, and we keep it between ourselves, but it sometimes maybe talking about it and having someone hear it, it can be a big help, it can be a big push that maybe, somebody needs. And this is why we're here. And this is why we have the platform, right? To inspire and to help and create community within our listeners. So thanks. Honestly, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not easy.
Yeah, so let's talk about something fun.
What do we got?
We have Firme Mezcal.
Yeah.
I like that transition, huh?
So tell me about you guys. Let's find out a little bit more about getting to know Gill and Amber, getting to know why the Mindbuzz. What made you guys decide to start a podcast?
What's the cheese, Amber?
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it from you, your perspective, because I lived it, right? You seen me all the sleepless nights and such. So what's your story? Like, what was your outside of the not this? Like, what was it for you? Like, when I remember the times when we would be at your family's house, your dad would be cooking on the front lawn, and the kids would be over, and I tell you, I gotta go. I gotta go. I have a podcast tonight.
I hated it.
Yeah?
I did. I'm not gonna lie.
Why did you hate it?
Because I felt like we already didn't, because we didn't always live together, so we lived separate. We lived, it's about a 45 to an hour commute.
I wish it was 45.
With no traffic. So we didn't have that accessibility of seeing each other daily. So I saw him maybe twice a week, and
if that.
Sometimes it was just like once a week. So
if I wasn't busy at the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And back then it wasn't even a 9 to 5. It was like a 9 to 9 type of thing.
Yeah. So I felt like here he is coming to spend time with us, and then he has to go.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't necessarily understand, right? Because I was just like, oh, it's just a podcast. Like, it's your hobby. Like, it's just, you know. But as time progressed and as I seen it evolve and I seen how much he enjoyed it. I mean, I bought one of your first microphones, right?
She
for
did.
Christmas? Yeah, so I bought him one of the first microphones.
She bought me one of the first microphones, the first one that she seen on Amazon.
I didn't know. I was trying to buy you something that I didn't know.
It's the thought that counts.
Exactly.
Right, no, I
high ratings too.
Hey, okay, I understood that. I understood that back then, and I was like, "Oh, wow, this is cool." And it sat in the box for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Typical guy.
Yeah, it sat in the box because do you even remember the first conversation that we had about me even starting a podcast?
I don't.
No, it's just it's all blur. But yeah, that box or that microphone stood in that box for a very long time.
It did.
And then I tried it out. I remember I'll tell you this. I remember the first couple nights even before starting any type of podcast, I just engulfed myself in like learning equipment and how to be like a cheesy stuff, like going on YouTube, how to be a good podcast host, like what's the best things to use. And back then, like I took all this stuff in, like I'm telling you, like sleepless nights, man, sleepless nights of just watching video after video, reading articles after articles, and I think I just overwhelmed myself so much with this new information that I psyched myself out, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Every other month it was, I'm gonna quit.
Yeah.
And I was like, you already started. Like, I remember I just used to like grind him. You know, it wasn't even like, come on. It was like, what the fuck are you doing? You already started. You invested. You got to do it. You got to see it through. And yeah, I remember you many of times saying you didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, but that was like early, like very early on, and like 40% of podcasts I started during the pandemic, or a little bit before, right?
A little before.
A little bit before.
Yeah, because I got the microphone for you Christmas of 2019.
Right. So it sat in there for a couple of months, in the box for a couple of months, and I was like, oh, you know what? And this actually the same the where this table is, I used to move it back and forth between here and my kitchen. I used to move around everything, like each time that I would do a podcast.
You should have seen when he created he hung like curtains from the ceiling, and he created like a cubicle, like a dark cubicle for himself. One time I was like, what the fuck is that? You have a haunted house going on
And now welcome
here?
to the goth hour.
The evolution, dude. That's what I like seeing. I like the evolution of this thing, and I think it's just like the drive to be better next week.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do to be better? And I think that's where the drive was.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to be better?
And I think that's why I hated it too, because again, circling back to like, it took time from us, right? It took time from us as a relationship and being together. Like, it was new. And then here comes this thing that's like wedged between us, right? And then when he asked me for help, because for a long time I was like, no, this is your thing. This is what you're going to do. And, you know, I'm already your girlfriend. I'm already in your space. I talk to you daily. Like, we FaceTime. Like, I'm going to let you have your space. But when he asked me to help, I was like, how can I say no?
Beautiful.
You know, it gives us the opportunity to be together,
to kind of go into his world and see what he liked. Because I talked about what I liked all the time. I mean, he used to come visit me at the donut shop and he used to spend hours watching me work or watching me create something or, and I knew nothing of his world. So it was like, it was cool. So
that is beautiful.
Thanks.
The fact that you are both putting yourselves in that position to learn, to find out more about passion projects that each of you have, to get a better understanding of it, but at the same time to create that time you can spend together, right? Because it's one of those things, Amber, where you could have said, fuck that, I don't want to know anything about that's your thing, go ahead and do it. I'll be at home chilling, watching TV or doing my own thing.
Right.
But instead, I want to be familiar with it. I want to be aware of what you do and how it works, and look at it now. You guys are both doing this podcast together, and I got to tell you, Gill, you do a great job. What Amber brings to the table enhances this whole show because of her experience, her knowledge. The two of you are a great fucking pair that do a great show. So I think you still would have done something very cool, but the fact that your girl said, I want to help you and then be a part of it made it much better.
Right. I needed a camera person.
Shut up. You needed a talking voice over
At
here.
first, hold on. Wait a minute. Back it up. The first time Jose Ramos was on this podcast was the very first time I introduced the new dual camera system that I, created with this little thing that I call the Mindbuzz. And from, right, like, I don't know, I wasn't scared, right, Amber? I wasn't scared of you, like, showing you like how to operate the thing, right? Like, I was just like, I don't know, maybe it was just me being me and being inside my head. I was like, this is a dude's thing. This is my thing. I didn't want to, and just like what you were saying, Amber, just like I didn't want to jump in his space. I thought about it and say, I wanted this to be like man's man. She's coming into the man's cave, and and we had this conversation before we even started that first podcast with the dual cameras and the live. That was the first person that we invited to come do the podcast in person. So it was for me, it was a big deal because I set up everything, the camera points, all the hardware. I did all that by myself. So it was a big deal for me. And I think, and then when I showed Amber how to do everything, like, she caught on so fucking quick, right? And not only she's switching cameras, she's Googling shit. And not only she's Googling shit, she's also talking. And by the way, we had a conversation before the first podcast episode.
Don't you say anything. Don't you say anything.
He said,
I did.
Put your mic.
I'm gonna put it like
I'm gonna put it really low.
low.
And then my hand reached over and I was like, hello.
So when that happened, I must have watched the video hundreds of times, like just back and forth, making the clips. And I'm like, this is what it needed. It needed something. It was missing something for 2 years. We're coming on 3 years now of doing the show in person. And that's what it was missing this whole time. And I didn't know what it was. For a long time, I was trying to think about what the Mindbuzz was. But it's evolving. And it's still going to evolve for the next 2 years. But it's just going to get better and better each and every time we do this. Each and every time we hit the record button. Each and every time we jump on the mic, it's going to get better and better.
That's the right attitude. And I commend you guys on your story. You guys got where you're at because you took action. I'll share something with you that I think applies here, and hopefully for your listeners, for those that need to hear this, could really connect with them. because it's the truth. I mean, when you're talking about how you started the podcast and having to learn everything and doing research and doing, going on YouTube to all these things. I mean, you're starting, we all are, myself with this label as an amateur.
Oh yeah.
I'm passionate about it. I want to learn how to do it. I'm going to go out there and do it. I'm going to do my best. And I know, because I've heard people saying they're not doing it right. They could be doing so much more. There's people out there other labels that have more experience than we do. We're trying our best. There's other podcasts out there that I'm sure have been doing it for a lot longer, but they feel like they're much superior to you. Or there's people out there that don't have a podcast, but they feel like, fuck, I could interview better. I could do this. There's haters out there. It's fucking out there. Here's my message to them, because the reality is that there are people out there who are obviously less qualified than you are, like you and myself, because you've only been doing this for a little while, owning a label for a little while. We're less qualified than they are, but we're living the life that they wish they had. Simply because you and I decided to take action. Simply because Amber decided to take action. So don't be just fucking out there bitching about it. Be about it. Go out there and do it. If you feel like you can, if there's some passion of yours that you want to go out and accomplish, educate yourself on it. Learn about it. Ask people questions that are willing to mentor you, to give you advice.
Be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable. Leave the ego at the door.
Right.
And be open to saying, I don't know how to do this, but I know that I want to do it, and I feel like I could be good at it. Can you help me?
Yeah. And you have to be open to fucking up.
Oh, yeah.
1 billion times before getting one thing right. And I think this has taught me it's okay to suck when you're starting something. Everybody sucks. No one picks up something and is good right away. I mean, there could be some prodigies out there that happens. But if you're an average person, I'm not the smartest person anywhere, in any room. I feel like if whatever I do, somebody else can do. But the challenge is that I'm doing it, and I'm not afraid to fuck up, for one. I'm not afraid to suck. And it's not even that I'm...
Hold on, Amber, I'm going to need that sound clip.
I already marked it.
All right,
Damn.
Cool. Go ahead.
Really?
Go ahead. Go back.
So I'm not afraid to... Hold on. Let me refrain from using those type of words around Mr. Toledo. No, what I'm saying is that I'm not afraid to be wrong. And it's not that I'm just wrong in this conversation. Say we're talking, right? This is going around the world, dude. This can be played anywhere at any time after she stops this button. And if I say something wrong, or if I get a piece of information wrong, I say a word wrong, or I get a definition of something, right? I'm just dumb. We have the tenacity or the balls to go on camera in front of hundreds of people, or could be thousands of people, and be wrong. How vulnerable do you have to be? That's one thing I love about stand-up comedy. That's the one thing I love about artists that go on stage. It's because you're going on stage and you're just fucking being vulnerable. That's it. You're leaving all this. You're giving the crowd so much, and you're giving the crowd like a shell of yourself. I don't know how to explain it. You're going up there and you're being vulnerable. You're letting loose. You're letting them see something, right? That you have in your mind. And that, I think that's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do, to talk in a mic. It's a hard, and maybe some people think, oh, I could do that. right? But it's there. It's hard. It's scary. It's weird going like, how freaking psycho is it? Right? That's the theme of this week, is how weird is a podcast? How weird is a video podcast? Two people talking and people are recording it. Amber's recording it right now. It's being recorded right now and being played again for you listeners and for you people on YouTube. Isn't that weird? And people watch it and people listen to it for entertainment or for information.
Or to be inspired.
Or to be inspired.
I think that was beautifully said. And I hope that for all those 12 viewers, that they get something out of this.
I hope so.
Lopez Avila, you know who you are. That was for you, buddy. No, but you know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Like
Salosita, that was beautifully said.
right. I got more. Hold on. Just kidding.
I'm like, dang, Firme Mezcal is really
That's
bringing out the poet in us, right?
That's what's up.
Making us think. It doesn't only feed your soul, but it also feeds your brain.
It feeds your mind. It's feeding my soul right now.
It's your emotion.
It's inspiring me right now.
Yeah.
Right. I just think how weird like a podcast is.
I don't think weird is the word. I think you use weird a lot, and I don't.
I do. I like
weird.
that word. I'm gonna get it tattooed on my neck.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
Or weirdo.
I think it used to be unconventional, but now it's our form of entertainment and our form of connecting. I think that people go on throughout life.
True.
We go on throughout life and even daily trying to connect with things, trying to find meaning in things and people and trying to feel connected. I mean, think about when you're with your friends or your family. What do you feel? A connection, right? And feeling connected to someone makes you feel better. And I feel like we strive daily to feel connected to something. So having a podcast, having the platform, bringing people in together, like already we're connecting with Oscar. We're connecting together. Even if it was our first time meeting, we're connecting. And then our viewers are connecting with us or maybe with something that resonates from it. So we're just creating connectivity. That's it. It's not weird at all.
We're all channels. What did Delodeso say? Delodeso?
We're all our own channel.
Man, that freaking blew my mind. We're all channels. That's wild. We're all vibrations.
I was gonna say, all right, I'm getting out of here.
Only on the Mindbuzz.
What kind of agave was in your drink, dude?
That was beautifully said, my friend.
Peyote.
I like it. Vulnerability is super high to be doing this. For you guys to have a show and to be expressing your opinions.
Right.
For guests that come in here, no different with me coming in here. First of all, not thinking that I was going to share as much as I did with you guys. And I think it's because of the comfort level. So again, another great example of why you guys are very effective and you do a good job. And another reason why people should buy mezcal, because that's what's going to happen. To whoever your guests are, they're going to fucking open up, right?
Man.
But the thing is that you are vulnerable because anything that you say, it's permanently out there.
Yeah.
And people are going to critique it. People, maybe they might get inspired by it. At least you hope that in some cases people do. You might get people to say you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, of course.
You might say something I don't worry about.
But you know what? I know I'm an idiot. I know it. And that's the cool thing. You can't tell me. I know I suck. But you know what? The thing is about me is I know that and I'm striving to be better. I think the cool thing that you need to realize, or at least for me, is people are stupid. People will be stupid. I'm stupid about a lot of things, but there's things that I'm not stupid about. There's topics that I can be stupid on, right? But there's other topics that I might be very good at, be good about talking about. But for me is the goal here is to be less stupid next time.
It's progress.
Right. It may be little. very little, each and every week, or by day or week by week. But it's progress. And I think just striving to be progressively a better human being than the last day, then you've already won.
There you go. Be 1% better than you were yesterday.
Right.
And you'll be in a better spot. Every now and then you'll fumble, but as long as you're able to recognize it, you'll be in a good position. I think you would live a meaningful life. At least you hope that you will. And it's something that you'd be cool with.
You think House of Chingazos would do a collab with me and that you have to suck to be better?
Yes. You know what?
You have to suck to be better.
So there's
And put like a bacon wrapped hot dog or something.
Ooh.
On there.
So there's I'm what are they called? There's a fantastic book to bore some of you guys, but it's kind of in line with what you said. So it's a Marine that the ones that, and I don't know why the words escaping me right now. The ones that go underwater with the full get up, todo el pedo.
Mermaids.
No, that too. But for those, so there's a book by this incredible Marine that it's titled "Embrace the Suck."
Can you pull that up? I want to see it.
Yeah, so we'll be able to find it. Embrace the Suck book, where he just talks about as you're going through training as a Marine, and when you're going underwater, and it's just the way you get consumed by the water, the pressure, and all that stuff. The more that you struggle, the more that you're gonna have a hard time with finding your balance.
Oh, Navy SEAL.
There you go.
Is that it?
There we go.
Brent Gleason.
That's it.
Oh, forward by David Goggins.
Embrace the Suck. A good book that I would recommend. I'm one to read quite a bit. I take what I can from each book, and I know this one made an impact for me especially when it comes to when things do get pretty stressed out and you get a lot of pressure put on you. It helps you get some guidance on how to adapt and deal with it. So maybe let it be a book that helps you out. Let it be, like I mentioned earlier, therapy. Let it be music, whatever it is. Because again, a lot of us have a lot of fucking noise going on in our heads and a lot of struggles that we deal with. It's a matter of just finding that cool way or that good way that can help us kind of get out of it. And you're right. It's okay to suck.
I agree.
You got to start somewhere.
You do.
That's it.
Claro que sí.
Right? You keep saying that. What does that mean?
Of course.
Oh, okay. Claro que sí.
Yeah, of course it is.
Claro que sí.
So
Okay.
I do a lot of Spanglish. I lose a little bit when I'm at work because I rarely can use the Spanglish that I have with my friends and for the most part that I grew up with for years. But it's again, and some people might hear us talking and they're like, "What a fucking idiots!" The way they're talking, but it's our language. It's the way we communicate with each other. It's the way we have a good time, and so I do a lot of Spanglish.
Okay. You know what's cool that I don't know? I don't know a lot of Spanish. I don't know if it's cool or not, but I'm feeling more comfortable now asking people like what I just asked you. Like, what do you mean? Like, what is that? What did you just say? You know, before I wasn't interested. Like, of course, like I would. And that's another thing that has helped me with this podcast is to be more inquisitive.
You should be, because many times sometimes you don't know when if you're coming across somebody when they just constantly you got those head nodders, and I'm guilty of it at sometimes, but I am more inquisitive and I'm asking questions. I ask when I don't know something,
Right.
because at that point I can still try and follow along with the conversation. So it's good that you're asking questions.
Yeah.
It shows you give a fuck.
And especially, well, yeah, because it's language. So you're telling me something, for me to understand. And if I don't understand, then what are we doing? Right?
Do you know what's weird? Is that I don't know if I'm a big help to you guys, because the last time that I was on the show last week with Rob, as you know, Amber, I went ahead and brought a good friend of mine's product, Blaze Mota, and we had the Motelada, and we were talking all this gibberish kind of all over the place, and now we're doing some Firme Mezcal, and here I am handicapping you, brother, when we're talking. We're having a good talk, and that's usually what happens when I'm, with somebody at a show, at a bar. They come over to my house for la carne asada. We're drinking. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a good conversation, and hopefully, and here's the thing, especially when you get together with somebody, and that's why it's so very important to listen to what they're saying. People might not always remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Where'd you learn that? That's in a book somewhere.
It could have been on a book. It could have been at a work event. It could have been my therapist. I don't know. It could have been my wife.
There's something. Have you heard of Dale Carnegie?
Yes.
The How to Win Friends and Influence People. Mm-hmm. Have you read that book?
That's not a book that I read, but maybe I should.
It is fucking phenomenal. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale Carnegie.
Is it working for you?
It's an old-timey hokey. No, it's an old-timey. Hold on. It's an old-timey hokey type of book, but it is powerful.
Yeah.
The concept of these, and again, it was written over 100 years ago by some guy a long time ago, and it just resonates so much. And for me, I'm a very odd person when it comes to books, because I use them as tools. I like a lot of books that, like we were talking earlier about autobiographies.
Yeah.
But I like books that teach you something. And that was one of the first books that I've ever written that I used as a tool. It was that How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It was The Yes Attitude by Jeffrey Gitomer. And it was also The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale.
That's a great book.
Those three books fucking changed my entire outlook on life, my entire outlook on how I communicate with people.
Do you know what would be nice? Because you shared some real good information, very valuable information that was very impactful in your life. If you post those books, do a post and put those books on there and mention how much that impacted you, or maybe you're going to do a reel or something of that sort. And it would be good to hear from other people what books made an impact in their lives.
Enter Amber. Didn't you do? Amber has been killing it on TikTok with what she's been doing.
Oh, shit. Do tell, Amber.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No. If she's already done it, which this is not a fucking fresh idea, but the fact that I'm hearing these three books from you, which I've read one of the three, it's great because you want to hear, these are good questions. What's your if you do enjoy reading, what books made an impact in your life? Mm-hmm. That's a great fucking question. Now, if Amber's also done that and created that platform where she mentioned what she likes and asked people to, that's fantastic.
Early on in the podcast, I used to do that. Early on in the podcast, I and Amber remembers this. Yeah, I did that. I used to publish an episode, and like right after the episode, not right after, but a couple days, used to make a post. Hey, in this podcast episode, we talked about this book here, and I used to give my review on the book.
Maybe you should add it to your link tree, like to Amazon or something, so it'd be something easy.
The Mindbuzz Book Club.
Damn,
I like that. No, I did. I don't know how to fucking use TikTok. I'm old.
She killed it though.
But I did.
She fucking killed it.
It's like
pull up your TikTok.
I'm not gonna pull up my
TikTok.
Pull it up.
No, it is awesome.
No, it's not. I just put up books that I've read that are from. I like to read a lot of like
She's killing it.
like Latina or Latino books written by Latinos, and I just put books,
killing it.
5 books
You're
written
killing
by Latinas, and a few of my videos have gotten 88,000
Damn.
views, 100,000 views.
And I told her, I was like, hey, why don't you add like a little Mindbuzz type of logo at the end of that? We can make you something really nice.
Can you please share that with the rest of us? Or I would love to see what books they were, but also for any individual, whether it's a Latino or Latina, because it's just not for Latinas, powerful Latino
Right.
women. I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
I would love to see what those books were, because I have my own books that I like where it talks about understanding what it is being a Chicano. So there's some great literature that really helped me out in regards to a little bit more about my culture, my heritage, a little bit about my identity. And there's all these fantastic, very talented people. We referenced it at one of the interviews that you did recently about. Well, I thought the conversation was about Gloria Huerta, but it wasn't her. It was an actress.
Yeah.
But I'm like thinking, Gloria is a badass. Huerta. She did so much in the Latino movement. And the more that we understand who are the impactors in our culture that made a difference, can hopefully motivate us to try and do the same, or at least hold steady and not fuck up as much, but make it better for the next generation. Or at least if you're not worried about the next generation, make it better for yourself. Have a meaningful life that you can go back and say, you fucking did it. It's one of those things where I talk to my clients about this. Sorry that I took it back there, but when if you can imagine the 3 questions that I would think people would be asking themselves if you ever find yourself in your deathbed and you don't have much to live. And the three questions out of the several that I would be asking myself is, 1, did I love? Did I love people enough for them to know it? Number 2, was I loved by the people that I love that means something to me? Did they love me? Did they genuinely love me, or did I have a fallout with them and I'm out here lonely? And, and it goes back, and then it goes to my 3rd question: how would I be remembered? What type of legacy are you leaving behind? And these 3 things are important to me. Did I love? Was I loved? How would I be remembered? And I take that into consideration as I'm trying to create the better person of myself, be that 1% better each day, and doing something that I can be proud of someday, that my kids could be proud of, that my wife could be proud of, that my friends could be proud of. At least that's one of the things that drives me. And hopefully it's something that can drive other people that are listening to this, for the people that need to hear it. Hopefully it connects with them.
And what book was this that you're talking about?
No, that was, I went to an event and there was a public speaker that just talked about it was long-term care insurance, and just the many times that he was on the, next to a bed of somebody, a client or a family member, and he would try and comfort them. And he would commonly find that these 3 statements were coming up quite a bit.
Wow.
As you're fearing death, or maybe for some of us that have the faith, you're embracing it, that you lived a good, meaningful life. But if at least you're doing these, if you're living a good, meaningful life, and you could say that you loved, that you were loved, and you're going to be remembered in a very nice way. And if you happen to have life insurance, to know that your family is going to be financially okay, that's a good thing. But I try and, these are some, not all, but these are some of the important values that I have.
I like that.
And before you said that, what was the book that you were talking about understanding your the Chicano movement and the key figures in the Chicano history?
I believe the book is called I Am Chicano.
Because you sent us You sent to
I,
some, remember?
I sent you a couple
Yeah.
books that I really enjoyed that would be good literature just to have a better understanding, because it does hit on a lot of different people, not just Cesar Chavez, who did a lot of good things, but there's other very impactful, meaningful people in our culture and our history that are still doing good things to make things easier for our generation, for our culture. And it's good to acknowledge the hard work and the sacrifices that other people are making to make it a little bit easier for us.
Right. Because another thing that I thought about reading those books, right? They had a huge impact on how I thought and how I viewed the world around me. But up until recently, I was thinking, like, where are the books that will resonate with me and my culture? Yeah, of course, those resonated with, like, men and women, but I feel like it wasn't and don't get me wrong, and this is reality. These books were written by middle-aged white men in the 1920s. The middle-aged men and the white men in the 1920s had a very different life than I probably had. Huge, way different. And now I think that we need people like that, but look like us or have the same, traditions as us or something in our culture. And that's why I'm interested, because I've always looked for something like that, and I never really found it. I never really heard about it. I never, like, in public school, I never really heard about it. I wish I would have taken Chicano studies in college, which I didn't, and I feel like I should, and I really want to, because up until recently, I've become super interested in Chicano culture, and not even just Chicano culture, but just being Mexican in general. After I'm pretty sure you heard about my ancestry DNA test coming back.
Yes.
Almost 60-70% indigenous Mexican. Now, after that, I want to know more.
Yeah.
I was like, how are you more Mexican? I was angry. The European side of me came out when these results came in. I was like, God.
Jeez, you wanted that
colonizer.
too?
I wish.
You took my land and my gold, and now you want to take my DNA and my skin color. But it just catapulted me into wanting to know more about that.
And that was, like, I don't want to say a struggle, but I think that there was something when Gill and I started dating where I would tell him, like, and again, this is no shade to anybody, right? But I think I've always been very in tune with my roots and who I am.
And she has.
And I love speaking Spanish, and I love that I can represent that. And even in the business aspect, like, putting us on the map, right? Is it for me? I'm so prideful of it, right? So I try to immerse myself in as much literature or as music or anything that I can connect to, right? And with Gill, it was like it wasn't him bashing anything, but I think there was no understanding of, like, oh, well, you're only listening to, or you're only reading authors that are, Latinos, but what about other authors? Like, so for a while I felt like, am I only choosing one side? Like, am I only choosing one thing? Like, am I being biased? And then after I was like, no, because this is what I connect to, right? As we were talking about earlier, like feeling a connection, feeling connected to something. I'm open to other authors. I'm open to other music. Absolutely. But these are the things that resonate with me when I read it. I listen to it. I feel it. It's like, it's me. It's me. It's who I am. And in these stories, in this music, and, in these movies and everything, it's me.
And that's the right way. For me, that's the right way to look at it, because if you're reading stuff that just resonates with you, how can you be out there trying to better understand other culture, other people, other things that maybe other races or whatever is going through if you don't understand you.
Right.
You really, before you go out there and try and explore into other things, take the time to get to know you, who you are as a person, about your background, about your history, because that could be very helpful. Now, you also need to understand the ways that are here that impact your decisions, and, you know, whether it's understanding a little bit of politics or what's going on in your community, what's going on with your city. And you got to be familiar with that as well, because that's what impacts a lot of things in your life, whether you give a fuck or you don't, it does impact you. So you got to be familiar with it. And I think the more that you understand it, the better that you're able to kind of help make a difference that benefits you, whether it's right or wrong. And a lot of people are going to be, disagreeing, and that's just the way politics is. That's just the way religion is. That's the way things are in people. You have the right, you have the left, and you have somewhere in the middle, right? But first, I think, Amber, with what you were doing and reading the books and stuff that resonated with you, it's the right thing to do, especially if in school we are being taught these other people's history, or the history of the world, or more the U.S. and all these different things. You've been fed that stuff for a long time that we do need to know,
Right.
but they don't really talk unless you're going to, if you go to college and you do Chicano history, which I did. How else are you supposed to know a lot about what your culture, what your people have gone through? So I commend you for doing that, and I think school has its place. It's good to be educated, but also understand that school also has its trade-offs. I'm not saying school is bad, but at the same time, school also sometimes can prevent somebody from creativity, could prevent somebody from thinking outside the box.
Absolutely.
Prevent them from being an entrepreneur. That's why you hear all these multi-millionaires or very successful people that they didn't even go to college, because, you know, school can be great for people. School doesn't have to be for everybody. I'm not here to say don't go to school. I'm glad that my older daughters went to college, and they got their degrees. But don't be fooled out there. You know you, and if you know that there's a certain path that is in your best interest that will, here's the big thing, make you fucking happy, then go for it. If you're deciding to go down a certain path and all you're going to be doing is bitching and complaining about all this fucking shit, do something about it, or change it, or be miserable. But hopefully I don't want to hear your shit, because you're not doing something about it. You know, there's those people out there, and you got to beware. And sometimes you have those people that are in your little circle of friends, and it's in your best interest, unfortunately, and I've went through it, where there's certain friends that are no longer friends. And you got to get these people that are toxic out of your life in order for you to be at peace with yourself. You know, if you get friends that it's cool to talk shit on each other, but if there's people that keep fucking putting you down, get fucking rid of them. Because they're just doing that to make themselves feel better. And it's not helping you out. It's making you miserable. Yeah. You know? So that's my 2 cents.
I agree 100%.
Oscar, thanks for coming out and doing the podcast, man. Appreciate
Gracias. It. Claro que sí.
What do you got coming up?
So with for those of you that are interested in finding out a little bit more about my insurance business, or you need some help with retirement planning, aquí voy. That's my 9 to 5, y'all. You can Google me if you want, Oscar Toledo, and then use the keyword insurance, and you'll find out a lot of information about me, interviews that I've done that talk about the insurance business. I am one of the co-founders of Grito Industries, which Mindbuzz is a part of. You can follow us on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, on TikTok. Find out a little bit more about us there, and support the label. You can support the label by doing a couple things. You can follow the artists that we work with. You can follow the podcast, or you can buy some vinyl. We have vinyl here, ladies and gentlemen. We have our very popular Maria Sanchez. She has her 45. This is something that you can pick up on our website. We have the Paranoias. And what's beautiful about this one, this is their greatest hits. They've been a band for many fucking years. So you have some of the best songs from not only the Paranoias, but Profesor Galactico as well. We have our founding artist, 3LH. This is a great fucking album, something that I would recommend that you pick up. And of course, we have Las Calacas from Arizona. This is a great punk cumbia type band. They have a lot of great music. If you're doing a barbecue and you want to get people dancing, you want to get las doñas dancing, having a good time, this is a great album to do it. And then for you romanticos, Adrian Carmine. This is an incredible album with a lot of soulful sound that you can pick up at My Grito. Each of these, we went ahead and dropped the price to $20 each. That's a big drop from $30 to $20 each. Or you can buy the bundle just like Amber did. And get them all for $60. Act now. Muchas gracias, everybody.
I was a smart shopper.
Yeah.
Fuck
You
yeah.
are a smart shopper.
Saludcita.
Hey, one more firme mezcal.
Right there.
Right
Oh,
here.
beautiful.
And go give them a follow.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace. See you guys later.
Bye.
That's why people fall in love. I fucking love that song.